Welcome along to episode 12 of the Hong Kong Racing Show as we build up to one of the biggest weeks of the year in Hong Kong racing, International Week. Now just days away, it all kicks off with the International Jockeys Challenge at Happy Valley on Wednesday before four massive Group 1 races at Sha Tin on the weekend. Our special guest today, none other than legendary Mike Smith, who took part in International Week just a few years back. Looking forward to Mike Smith joining us shortly as I welcome Alex Evers, who's preparing to jet off to Hong Kong. We just had Thanksgiving yesterday. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Alex, and you must be getting excited about heading to Hong Kong now.
Yep, thanks, mate. A little full from yesterday, but getting ready, getting packed up, and I can't wait to get out there. It's always one of the best weeks of the year. Like it's just so good, so excited.
Have you got a highlight from, I mean, you've been going to International Week now for a good number of years in a row. If there was one highlight, what would it be?
Ooh.
Above all.
Uh, I mean that last year gold. I mean, I'm so biased, right, with the golden
Yeah.
60 thing in the background or back over here, but that golden 60 performance last year was insane. It was just one of the coolest experiences. And actually, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I can't believe it's already been a year since that race. It was just. And the call that Mark had, that's not a whip, that's a one, and that ride was magic, is one of the greatest race calls to me. I just that day was so great. And beyond that, though, my first Hong Kong mile beauty generation, before he was like beauty generation that everybody knew with Derek Long, that day was just, it was incredible. The light was beautiful, the pictures were great, and he was a star. And that was the beginning of his star shining as bright as it did.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no golden 60 this year, of course. He's retired, but gosh, we're not lacking any star power, are we? It's going to be
Not at
a
all.
sensational day next weekend, and we'll have a full preview for you as well and live reporting from Hong Kong. Both Alex and myself will be there. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. And speaking of the latest news, let's catch you up to date with the latest news in the world of Hong Kong International Week. And Nobles, the American contender, breezed a half mile over the synthetic track at Turfway Park during the week. A very interesting lead up to International Week in Hong Kong. So Nobles is set to depart Chicago this weekend and land in Hong Kong on Sunday ahead of his start in the Hong Kong Sprint for trainer Larry Ravelli, I should say. E.T. Baird looking like the likely jockey. I asked Larry during the week. He said if ET can make it, he'll be on board. And speaking of arrivals, the first of the Japanese contingent has arrived in Hong Kong, including the recent mile championship winner Soul Rush, who was fourth in the mile last year, along with Lugal and Liberty Island. And the Aussies have arrived and have enjoyed their first spin around the Sha Tin Dirt, and Tino and Recommendation working alongside each other there. And Alex, the other American angle, too, owner John Stewart confirming during the week that his horse Goliath won't push on to Hong Kong after running what I thought to be a pretty decent sixth in the Japan Cup last weekend, which was won by Do Juice. So no Goliath, unfortunately, but we will at least be represented by Nobles.
I think for Goliath last week, he would have appreciated a little bit more cut in the ground. Those Japanese horses go fast, and they came home pretty quick there, but nice horse, and hopefully he comes back next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're actually keen to push onto the arc if the rules can loosen up about geldings going there. So that would be interesting as well. And Alex, I was going to ask you, ahead of IJC on Wednesday, a few jockeys really coming into form at the right time.
Yeah, Vincent getting his 600th official Hong Kong win on Healthy Healthy, and then Hugh Bowman gets a double, and he's looking like he's going good going into that event. So everyone's rounding into form. It looks like it's going to be really fun, and the critical part is going to be that draw, that allocation on Monday afternoon, and who gets what and who gets what barriers. Really, at Happy Valley, it's all about the barriers.
A good time to welcome in our very special guest for this week. He's in the Racing Hall of Fame. He's ridden nearly 6,000 winners, and no jockey has won more Breeders' Cup races. He is Mike Smith. Mike, thank you for joining us on the Hong Kong Racing Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You, of course, were involved in International Week in Hong Kong a few years back, taking part in the IJC at Happy Valley on the Wednesday and riding in the Cup and the Mile on the Sunday at Sha Tin. How fondly, Mike, do you look back on that experience?
Oh, it's a great time when you get the opportunity to go to beautiful place like Hong Kong and ride those races. I mean, the racetracks are just unbelievable. They're beautiful, and people are very warm and welcoming to me when we go down there, and it's just it's a great time. There was a chance that I was maybe gonna get to go back this year for the sprint race on a horse called First Piece from Mark Latt, but he's not running, and then. Of course, I have a wedding to go to about 2 days before that, so it's going to be pretty tough to make it. But I was hoping to get back there again.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. And of course, No Balls is going for Larry Ravelli, so there will be some American representation, which is good. We'll talk about that in a second. And Mike, I know you were in Hong Kong. This was 2013 for IJC with your good friend Gary Stevens, who was also taking part in the IJC, the Jockey Challenge that night. When you guys were allocated your rides for the Jockey Challenge, most of them ended up being double figure long shots. Did you and
Mhm.
Gary have a quiet word with each other and say, we've been stitched up here. We've been given the visitors draw.
It just drew bad. I mean, they have a draw, and you just hope you draw an A horse. You're supposed to have kind of like an A horse, a B horse, and a C horse. And if I remember right, I think I got all C's. I didn't get I didn't get much of an A, but I still had fun trying and really enjoyed riding over the racetrack.
Yeah. So your runners were, you had an 80 to 1 shot, a 20 to 1 shot, which you finished fifth on, which was great, a 22 to 1 shot, which you finished fourth on, and a 5 to 1 shot, which you finished third on. Gary's was 16 to 1, 18 to 1, 45 to 1, and 15 to 1. I won't tell you where he finished because I'm going to try and get him on the show one time. But
I'm
uh,
actually going to see him today, so I'll let him know you're going to be calling him.
awesome. Take us inside the jockey room on IJC night at Happy Valley, Mike. Is it tense? And is it true that there's actually a pretty comprehensive spread of delicious food that the Hong Kong Jockey Club put on for the jockeys?
There really is an amazing spread of food. The bad thing is we all just get to look at it. None of us can eat it. We all have to make weight, and it's kind of hard to do. But no, it's a wonderful evening, a great spread, and we had a great time. And although it is intense, you have a lot going on, and it's busy. You just kind of you race after race. You're moving around a lot, but it's a lot of fun meeting a lot of the new guys and meeting some of the older guys that you've known in the past, and just catching up and just chatting away in the jocks room, man. It's a whole lot of fun.
We've actually got some old footage of you in the media function the day before the Jockey Challenge, Mike, and it's with you and Gary. And it looks like you're enjoying a nice cold beer. Is that right?
Yeah,
Looking out at Happy Valley.
that's probably about right. If it's me and Gary hanging out together, we probably were enjoying a little beer.
On those nights, is it like an all-star game kind of thing where you're in the jocks room together, you're joking, you're having a good time, and you go out there and you
Yeah.
perform, and if you get a good run, you get a good run.
It really is, Alex. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, you hope to do well. Look, I mean, we're all competitive. We all want to win, but it's just fun to get the opportunity to go and see new things and ride the course. Is totally different than riding in America. You're going the wrong way, and the areas of the course are a little different than ours, and they're tight at places, and it's very interesting. You have to know the course a little. I would definitely recommend if you're going there for the first time, try and get a ride before the big one, just to get used to the course a little.
You've won jockey challenges in other jurisdictions, Mike. How does it compare winning one of these to saying winning a Grade One or a Group One race?
Well, there's some more bragging rights, when you
Mm.
can win one of these jockey challenges, man. It's you beat the best that they were able to get together and be there. So it's a big bragging thing, Whereas when it's kind of feels like it's all you, and when you win a grade one or something it involves a whole lot of other people, and it's a bit different. So winning one of the jockey challenges is more of a bragging right for yourself.
Yeah. You mentioned Happy Valley being a tricky course to ride.
Very.
Does Happy Valley or probably more so Sha Tin remind you of any tracks in North America? I imagine Happy Valley probably doesn't, but maybe Sha Tin.
Yeah, Happy Valley wouldn't, but Sha Tin would. I mean, it would be like, I mean, it's huge. Sha Tin is big. So I mean, the turns are much kinder to get around. That first turn going into Happy Valley is pretty tricky. It's kind of tight. And of course, the far turn is a whole lot bigger and better. But I would say Sha Tin would be more like a Belmont, kind of turf course. I would say.
Yeah.
You've ridden a bunch of tracks. You've won 2,000 guineas on Dr. Devious, if I remember correctly. Out of all the international tracks you've ridden at, what's one of your favorite tracks?
That was forced to All Star, I believe. The Guineas,
That's right.
The Irish 2000 Guineas was forced to All Star. I mean, all the international tracks are great, man. I mean, they really are. When you get to go to, Hong Kong, Japan, going over to England to ride Royal Ascot, and of course Dubai at Maydam is just amazing. And now, you have it back in Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Cup. Man, these tracks are they're phenomenal, man. They really are. They're all apples and oranges, and you're just really happy and blessed to be able to ride a horse that's good enough to be there. To be honest with you,
Why do you think American horses are kind of underrepresented uh, during this international week over the years, Mike?
it's really hard to win there. It's tough to win for American horses. You wouldn't think it would be that big of a deal to go the opposite way, but it really is. Everything's completely the other way. I think that if they were to run the right way, we would have a better shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're asking some of these American horses who've never run to run into the turn. Normally we run into the turn, you head to the left. You're going to run into the turn, you head to the right, and everything is just completely different for them, and it's tough. And not to mention, I mean, you have great horses there now. I mean, they've gotten better and better and better with their breeding program, and it's just amazing how good they are. These two horses that we were talking about a little bit yesterday, about these two sprinters that you guys have there. I mean, they're monsters, man. They would be hard to beat anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, it's looking like Kai Ying Rising, who's going to be the short price favourite for the Hong Kong Sprint, is establishing himself as the best sprinter in the world, if not already the best sprinter in the world. And he's, of course, going to be taking on the American horse No Balls, trained by Larry Ravelli. E.T. Baird likely to ride. This is the winner of the 2023 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at Santa Anita last year. Also, this year's Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner, Starlast from the UK, is going to be in the same race. What would your advice be to, if it is E.T. Baird, Mike, that's likely to ride No Balls, the American horse in the sprint?
You know, it's tough if he's never ridden. If the horse is there, it's not the rider that I'm concerned about. It's just the horse. Being able to handle the right turns, and then listen. They go quick early there, and then they really finish strong. I mean, they have a strong, and it's a long stretch. So I mean, you got to be careful you don't go too quick. But if you try to go a little bit too slow, next thing you know, they've swarmed you. They've got you covered up. That's a really fast horse that ET is going to be on. I would imagine he would be in front. I would think, but I mean, he's gonna have to have his running shoes on, and he's gonna have to get away with something at some point because they're gonna be coming at him. I mean, it's just really tough to win there. I would definitely walk the course if I was him. If you don't have a ride before, I would at least go out and walk the course.
When you're walking the course, what are you feeling for? You feeling it in your feet, or you have a stick or something in your hand that you can test the depth?
Well, it depends. Well, that you'd have a stick if the ground was a bit off. If they had some rain or something like that, you would definitely want to see where you felt the ground was a little better anyway. But just to get an idea of where it's at, the circumference, of the turn, how long the stretch actually is. When you walk it, you get a better idea of you don't want to do too much too soon, and you'll pay for it at the end there. So you got to be careful. So it's just good just to get over it.
When you're walking those courses, are you kind of visualizing in your head what you're going to do out there if things go your way?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen. Again, that's a really, really quick course. I don't think they have any plans on doing anything different with him, especially now that he's going to do something completely different. Going the wrong way. They're not going to try and. But there are quick horses out there as well. It might not be a bad idea to follow somebody around there. It might help the horse a little, but if not, he's going to be out there by himself, and it's going to be different for him. some horses adapt to things a lot better than they're like people. Some adapt to change a little better than others, and if he does that, well, he's not without a chance to run really well. But it's going to be very difficult to beat those two horses that are going to be the favorite and co-favorite there in Japan. I mean, in
You
Hong Kong.
mentioned you mentioned following horses. Is that something that becomes easier for a horse if they have a target within a race to then track into the run?
Yeah, like you would, Alex. For example, if you was to run it at Santa Anita, right down the hill,
Mm-hmm.
and your horse has never been, down the hill, so you kind of go to the right first, back to the left, and then you come back down and you go over the dirt. Well, if he's never been, it just makes it a lot easier to follow one because one will follow one right through. If one goes through it, well, they know it's okay to follow on through that, and then once they get past the dirt, they're fine, and you can tip them out and look for a place to run. And that's just kind of a scenario that you would have, and the same way, being in Hong Kong. I mean, when they go into that right turn, if you're following one, it's a bit easier for the horses to follow another. They're herd animals and they'll do that. If he's going to be probably on the lead by himself, and it's going to be a bit confusing for the horse. You just hope that he handles it well, and if he does, listen. I mean, I'm not saying he can't. He certainly can. It's just going to be it's going to be a tough race if they were going the right way, our way. That's their right way. But if they were going our way here in America, it's still going to be a tough race. I mean, there's some just amazing animals in that race. There's some really, really good horses in there.
Yeah, of course, that replay you watched of Kaying Rising the other day, Mike, breaking a 17-year-old track record set by Sacred Kingdom, eased down as
And,
well.
and I was going to say, and he was well in hand. I
Yeah,
mean, that horse is. I mean, man, how are you going to beat that?
yeah. The caliber of riders in Hong Kong, um, on an international scale. I know you when you were there with Gary, you were riding against dual Melbourne Cup winner Karen McAvoy, the likes of Gerald Massey, Brett Preble, and of course Zach Purton is now closing in on being the all time winningest
Wow.
rider in Hong Kong, about to break Douglas White's record. How are, in your opinion, is the quality of rider in Hong Kong?
Oh, top of the line, man. Those guys are just brilliant. It was just fun, actually. Even like I said, even though you don't draw as well as you want. It's just fun to watch them. To
Yeah.
watch what makes them work and what makes them tick. Little different things that they do that maybe you're not doing that you can kind of pick up on and just watch. It's just so fun to watch these guys, man. They're brilliant riders. They're brilliant horsemen. They could ride anywhere, anytime, any place, man. It wouldn't matter where.
Yeah, well, it's going to be exciting to watch. Happy Valley coming up Wednesday morning, North American time. The IJC, four races, four jockey
That would be
championships.
on the eighth, right? It's going to be on the eighth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, no, sorry, that's the Saturday night. That's the international races. That'll be the Cup, the Sprint, the Vase, and the Mile at Sha Tin, Saturday night, North American time, and on Wednesday morning, Happy Valley, our time,
Happy Valley.
will be
Well, I'll be in Costa Rica, so I'm going to have to get the Costa Rica the time difference all set up so I can watch these races because I want to watch them.
yeah,
Mike, you've rode a couple of my favorite horses. Obviously Zenyatta, but Arrogant. And out of the two rides in the Classic and the Dubai World Cup, which one did you like better for you?
For me,
Yeah, for you.
well, the classic Alex by far because in the although the Dubai World Cup was probably one of the most phenomenal races you've seen a horse do. We weren't supposed to be last, we weren't supposed to get, pinched off leaving the gate and be last in the Dubai World Cup. We were supposed to be, sitting right off a Gunrunner, who was in the race and who was the leader that night. And man, I find myself so far back and having to make up, a lot of ground. And although the race at the end was a big sigh of relief more than it was in enjoyment, to be honest with you, in that situation. Whereas the Breeders' Cup, it was a fun race to ride. I rode a good race, and he ran a phenomenal race running against California Chrome, which is a great, great horse and was really, really good top of his game at the time. And to run him down like he did was just incredible. And the whole race was just fun to playing cat and mouse and trying to hide from him and come running at him and then able to run him down was Eric Gate was a special horse, man. I mean,
Yeah.
especially at a mile and a quarter, man. He was just a beast, man.
the part of that race where Victor looks over his shoulder and you're behind him and he can't see you, and then you tip out. It's just one of the most classic rides. I'll never forget that moment.
The best view is so they have that aerial view from up on top. I don't know if it's from the drone view. I guess it would be. It kind of shows everything that was going on a whole lot better. But and then and again, Dubai was amazing, and afterwards, of course, it was amazing. But man, it was more of, oh man, I can't believe I pulled it off. Because you go a long ways to run like that, and he's expected to run phenomenal, which he did. Probably even more so, having overcome what he did. But it still, man, it was pretty nerve wracking there early on until we finally pulled it off.
That's fantastic. And Mike, we've got a big weekend of racing coming up at Del Mar this weekend as well. And I see you've picked up a couple of nice rides in the Grade One Hollywood Derby. You're going to be riding Heart Headed for George Papapadromo. He was runner-up, I think, in the Let It Ride behind King of Gosford last out, who's also in the race. Do you know much about this horse or any of your other rides? You can give us a tip for this weekend at Del Mar.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him other than George is doing extremely well right now. He's a hot trainer. He's doing great. All his horses are running really well. He's doing a phenomenal job. But I'm excited to get the opportunity to ride him. Look, it's a tough race. A lot of horses are shipping in,
Yeah.
coming from everywhere for this little festival we're having, and it's going to be tough. But a horse that's doing real well that I'm riding on one of the others, I can't remember the name of the stake, is a horse called Sumter for Mr. Mandela, Richard Mandela.
Mm-hmm.
He won last time out at Santa Anita. Ran a really fast time, and since then he's been down here, and Mr. Mandela said he's just training phenomenal. So we've always thought that this horse was that kind of horse, and he'd been disappointing really all the way up until his last run. He finally showed what he could do, and if he could repeat something like that and maybe even improve off of that effort, he's not without a chance to run really big, and I wouldn't be shocked if he pulled it off.
Great. Speaking of Mr. Mandela and horses that start with S too, it must have been nice to get the job done on Subsanador on California Crown Day at Santa Anita a month or two back.
Oh, it certainly was, and it was just too bad that he came up with a minor injury going,
Yeah.
for Breeders' Cup, because trust me, as good as he was training at Santa Anita before that race. You should have seen him train over the surface at Del Mar. I mean, he just thrived over this racetrack here, and the way the race shaped up, going so quick early, he would have probably gotten a jump on the field. Really, he'd have been the first one making the first move, and I think he'd have been tough to run down. But the good news is he will be back this next year. I hear he's doing really well. He didn't have to have no surgery or nothing, just some time off, and he'll come back. And so we'll see him next year. Maybe he'll do a little international traveling. We'll see.
Nice. With M.E. Smith aboard, hopefully.
Yeah, the Mandela said I can't retire. He's coming back, so I'm not planning on it.
That's fantastic. And before we let you go, Mike, you haven't got your eye on any 2-year-old colts at the moment for the first Saturday in May, do you? Is it too early to ask?
It's a bit early for me to ask, although there's some out there already that have run well and are doing well. But it's a bit early for me right now. I got to wait and see if I can come up with something here in the next month or two.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for you. Always love seeing you in Louisville around Kentucky Derby week. And thank you so much for joining us on the Hong Kong Racing Show and sharing all of your insights and experience from your time riding in Hong Kong. It was awesome to hear.
Well, listen, I'll be watching, man. So I'll be rooting for the American horse, but it's going to be tough. I got to tell you, it's going to be tough for him. But I'll be rooting for him in E.T. Baird.
If he can run a good second behind Ka Ying Rising, I think they'll take that as a win.
That'd be brilliant. I think it really would. You would leave there with your head held high if you could do that.
Very much so. Thanks so much for joining us, Mike. All right, time to find a couple of winners at Sha Tin this weekend. The feature race on the card is the Golden Jubilee Challenge Cup, a handicap on the all-weather. And looking at a few key runners here, Bundle of Charm is 2 for 2 at the track. Raging Blizzard hasn't raced on the all-weather before, but has trialled well over the surface. Sing Dragon back to his preferred track and distance and has been competitive in Class 2 contests. So a few different ways to go here. The speed map showing Sing Dragon getting a nice run behind the speed set by Majestic Knight. Full credit to his outside. Alex, who do you like in this race?
I actually like Sing Dragon in this race. He's the one that I'm going to end up on here. And the thing I like about him too is that he looks like there's a lot of speed in the race with WizKid kind of going forward, Tomodachi Kakuro going forward. Um, and I believe for him, he's going to get the first jump on horses like Capital Delight and
Yeah.
Bundle of Charm, who've all run really, really well in the dirt. There's a couple of them that have run here that haven't won at this class, but have run really, really well in the dirt. And so I'm kind of going to go with the angle of the horses that have performed well in the all weather before instead of going with an unknown, maybe like a Call Me Glorious type for Francis.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I'm going to go with number 7, Capital Delight. Currently around 5-1 on the morning line with Sky Racing World. We'll see how accurate that is. Vincent knows his horse well. He will have to ride for a little bit of luck. He does get back, and he is up in class. But his best runs this campaign have come over this 6 furlongs on the all weather. I think you can forget his last start over the mile on the turf at Happy Valley. He can bounce back to form here. So I've got him ahead of your pick, who I've got in for second. So we should probably box them up in an exacta. Sing Dragon for me for second, who should get a nice run, and Raging Blizzard for my trifecta. Are you sticking with Sin Dragon as your best bet on the card, Alex?
Yes, I am. And on your Capital Light, I also like that his last win on the dirt there, he ran at 1650 as well, and then cut back in distance to the 1200 and had
Yeah.
a lot of success kicking home late. And all his replays, he really rattles home late. I just hope that I get a bit better of a price and a bit better of a trip. And Chadwick and Noonan together, 63% in the money. So if we can piece together our horses, which I think you picked Capital Light before week 1 of the season on the dirt when he came flying for second.
Yeah, I think you're
So
right. Hmm.
so that's a horse that I kind of follow a little bit on the dirt there. So
Hmm.
those are my horses, and then for my third pick there in that race, I'd be going with Bundle of Charm to also come running late, and we'll see if the photo sorts itself out the right way.
Right, well, that's Alex's trifecta in the feature race at Sha Tin on Saturday night, Sunday morning, North American time. My best bet, race 10. I'm going to, speaking of Mark Newnham, number 3, My Wish. So Alex and I are hoping that Mark has a good night. He's been on an upward spiral, this horse. Uh, the horse he beat over the track and trip last out, Sky Trust, has since won 2, franking that form. So that's a good sign, and I think he just might be able to control things up front in a race that doesn't seem to have a lot of speed on paper. So that wraps up this week's edition of the Hong Kong Racing Show. Next week, we will be in Hong Kong. So looking forward to that show next Friday on Hong Kong Racing North America X with Alex Evers and special guests. And we'll, of course, have some interviews with some jockeys and all sorts of other coverage. So keep following us on Twitter, HK Racing US or X, whatever you want to call it these days. Keep following the Hong Kong Jockey Club website as well. That's hkjc.com for all the latest news and to keep you up to speed with HKIR and IJC on Wednesday. Really looking forward to it. And the other thing I should mention too, Contest Jockey here in North America is going to be running a contest on both Wednesday and Saturday. As far as I know, one of the first contests, if not the first contest on Hong Kong racing within North America. So really exciting stuff. Head over to the Contest Jockey website to sign up for that. It's free to enter, and some good prizes on offer for first, second, and third. So you can either lock in your picks early and then go to sleep or do whatever you want to do. But I think a lot of people will be managing their bankroll and watching live on both Wednesday morning at Happy Valley and then Saturday night at Sha Tin. So some exciting contest play for us to get involved in within North America. Alex, as always, thank you very much for your time, sir. Smooth travels to Hong Kong.
Likewise. We'll see you over there.
Cannot wait, and we look forward to keeping you all up to date with everything that's happening during International Week in Hong Kong. We'll see you soon.